Alright guys, quick video on a Knight Rider gas pedal, how to hook it up. Now this particular one is, the actual pedal is made by Billy Gunter, and the electronics is made by Fred Fuchs, or Fuch, I believe. I don't know how that's pronounced, but he's in New Zealand, I believe. And he sent me one of these. I bought one of these for, I don't know, a couple $100 or so. And I know a lot of us buy these things, and sometimes we have them sitting for 2, 3, 4, 5 years sometimes before we even get to actually installing these things. So I know there's some of you guys that might have these and haven't even installed it yet. So I was looking on YouTube. Nobody has made a video on how to hook this up to a TPI motor car, which what I have here. And I've seen carbureted ones, but not TPI. So I wanted to make a quick video and kind of explain how easy it is to hook it up, because I thought it was going to be complicated. It's really not. So the directions tell you what these wires go to. I'm still not clear why it has a positive and negative wire twice. It says to reduce static, noise, sound, whatever. But I'm not going to use these two. And another thing I don't get is there's a negative TPS hookup and a positive. I tried this with just the positive, and it works with just the positive, and it doesn't seem to even need the negative hookup to the TPS. So I'm just going to run mine to the TPS with the positive, because that's what's working for my particular car. And you got 2 wires that are for your audio speaker if you want to hear the sound. So that'll hook up on its own to a little speaker somewhere in the car. So all you really need is the hot and black wires. That's your ground and your hot. Okay. And I try to tape this up so I don't fry it when I was testing. So okay, so hot and ground. It says to hook it up to ignition, that way it turns off when the car's off, so it doesn't stay on, or a switch or something. So all you really need is hot ground and your TPS, and then you got your 2 speaker wires to hook up a speaker. That's all I'm doing. And you can see I have the TPS hooked up here. It's the orange wire, and the way I ran it was, there's your connector on your car there. It's got 3 wires. You want the blue wire in the middle, and I kind of put my little needle in there so I can get contact, and then I hooked it up to that orange wire, and I got my positive and ground hooked up. So it's not going to work, like when I hook this up, it's not going to work on its own without the ignition on, because that's where the power comes from. When the ignition's on, that thing gets power, and it starts working with the ignition on. It won't work with the ignition off, is what I'm trying to say. So if you have this hooked up and you have it where the LEDs are on at the bottom, you can turn that off. But yeah, if you run your hot and power to the battery itself and don't hook it up to ignition, that'll be on all the time. But I think if you turn off those 2 bottom ones, I don't know if it would drain any of your battery if you turn those off, because it does say to hook it up to ignition. So now I'm going to turn on the car to the on position, not start, just when on. I hit the accelerator here. Okay, if I just barely push it, it'll just go a little bit. See that it'll hold it, that idle. Just a little bit. That's, you can see how much I push it, just a little bit, and then it's halfway. So you can adjust this. You can hold the button down there, and you can mess with this throttle, and you can make it more sensitive if you want to. You can make it where you barely push the pedal and it goes all the way up. I like it where it's more where you barely push the pedal and it just goes up a little bit. So if I do floor it, you know, see that's flooring it, it goes all the way up, just like in the show. But if I'm just barely pushing the pedal, or if you're at idle, you don't want it to go too much. And if you don't like the bottom LEDs, there's a switch here, you can turn it off. It's the second one over, just push it down just like that, and see now none of the leads are on. and it just solely works off of this. So it's a pretty good pedal, pretty good electronics. I'm happy with it. I'm happy that you can adjust how much it goes up and down by just holding the calibrate button right there. So that's the pedal. I mean, it's pretty nice. One hook up to the TPS, your hot and ground to ignition or whatever you're hooking it up to, and then you're pretty much in business. And then if you want the sound, your speaker positive and ground is on it. The rest of the wires you don't really need. There's 3 extras that it doesn't seem to need it. Alright, I just started the car, and you can see the leads are not going with the idle. It actually goes with the pedal only. And so that's cool, because I didn't want it to idle and have the lights idling with the motor. I just wanted it to work with the actual gas pedal. So that's how this thing works. When you push the gas pedal, and that seems about right, because if I'm just barely pushing it, you know, it's not going all the way up. 3 bars. That's about right. So it's a good pedal. I like it. Again, I like it because it doesn't have, it's not idling. You know, I think there's other pedals out there that are not as good as this. So I'm happy I bought this thing, and it's going to be in my car. So in conclusion, guys, I think I paid a couple $100 for this thing, and probably another $100 or so for the pedal off Billy. And I've made these myself. I've personally soldered some in the past and didn't come out this nice. So good job on the pedal, Billy, and good job on the electronics, Fred, because this works pretty good. Pretty happy with it. And again, the way I hooked it up, one wire into that TPS, the blue wire, and they actually sell new wire looms for this on eBay for like $10, and you can even buy one for $20 that will plug into here and have 2 ports, and that's for testing purposes. So you could run one of those ports into the actual wire here, and the other one you can splice into and run your wire off of, or you could just buy a new one and cut the wire and then splice into that, and yeah, and hook it up that way. So either way will work. I think I need a new one because this clip is broken here. And you can see how I wired the loom here. This loom goes up to here, this plastic loom. That's where I'm going to run my wire. So I'm going to zip tie this to right here in this position. So when I run the wire, it looks nice and clean, and it will go all the way to there. And then I'll splice into that blue wire there, and then I'll just zip tie this down here, and then I have my 2 wires that I pre-did. I just need one of these, and I'll run it into there, and then that'll be how I hook it up. Real simple. It'll look real clean. It won't look, you won't even be able to tell that I wired it in there by using this flex tubing. It'll look nice and clean. And so that's how you hook it up. And I already have that ran down there and into the car. So all I have to do is run that wire in the car to the actual pedal, and then and that's it. And then run the hot and power to it, and then we're done.